Thank you, Chalice Chimes. That was beautiful. Good morning. My name is Ann Harrington, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees for today. I wear many hats, but I want to welcome you as a member of the Board of Trustees to our service this morning. Unitarian Universalism encourages an open-ended search for meaning in life and a commitment to asking our values to shape our actions. We are a pluralistic religion that draws wisdom from many sources. We welcome all people into our beloved community of whatever age, race, class, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious background. We especially welcome those of you who may be with us for the first time today, whether you're in person or online. We invite you to join us after service downstairs for coffee hour so that we can get to know each other better. Guests are welcome to participate in any activities in our congregation. If you would like more information about the congregation, or if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask any member or Reverend Jay. Thank you for your presence today, whether in person, online. Enjoy.
Good morning and happy Earth Day. My name's Lori McCollum, and I'm here with the Environmental Justice team today. There's a number of us participating in the service. First, I want to make a couple of announcements. I want to remind you that the Earth Day concert is tonight here at 4 o'clock, and I hope everyone's able to make it either here or online. Second of all, it mentions outside on the bulletin board that there's a town hall after church today. That's not correct. It's next week. So you can go on down for coffee. And I also want to mention, if you hadn't noticed it when you came in, that Jeff Danielson installed the bottle filling station this week that the children earned last summer through their Eco Challenge fundraiser. And I want to thank Jeff for getting that installed and for doing all the footwork that was involved on the computer. We decided to have another fundraiser along with it. We're selling water bottles that you can then fill at the water bottle filling station. And they're out at the table out there. Now, I wanted to, first of all, talk today about TerraCycle. We are going to start resuming our TerraCycle program. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, TerraCycle is an innovative recycling company that's become a global leader in recycling hard-to-recycle materials like food pouches, crisp packets, and other things you would never expect to be able to recycle. They recycle coffee pods, cleaning product packaging, oral care like toothpaste and toothbrushes, toothpaste tubes, writing instruments like pens and highlighters. They take skin and hair products, video cassettes, floppy disks, DVDs, CDs, as well as Brita filters, coffee bags, wine corks, Swiffer cartridge refills, all kinds of stuff. TerraCycle teams up with companies who sponsor these products. They either melt them down into recyclable little plastic items, or they upcycle them into something different, like a plastic bench for a park. I know the US and China are the most heavily polluted countries for plastic waste, so finding a way to recycle as much as possible is a good thing. I have a TerraCycle bin in my garage right next to my recycle bin, and I empty it about every other month. So we're going to start it again downstairs. Olivia Dorothy, one of our members, who's also the director of the Upper Mississippi River American Rivers Program, helps coordinate that. There's a bin by the downstairs door that says TerraCycle on it. I would love to see us need 2 or 3 bins. So feel free to bring your materials that you want to try to TerraCycle and put them in there, and she'll take care of them. It actually generates a little bit of money for the church, not a whole lot, but she does get compensation for that. So check out Olivia's flyer on the table out in the hall for a list of all the detailed items that you can recycle through that program. And if you see her, thank her for her work on that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Hammerand, a member of this congregation. We acknowledge the traditional owners of country on which our congregation's grounds are located, the Kickapoo, Peoria, Sauk, and Meskwaki, Miamiaki, and Ochatee-Shakawan, and recognize their continuing connection to land, waters, and culture.
Hi, welcome to the Earth Day service. My name is Julie Swanson. This is my daughter Molly, and my other daughter Maya came down with a migraine as we were coming into the church, so I am going to do our opening words and chalice lighting, and then I'm going to take her home, but she is doing fine. So for the opening words and chalice lighting, we'd like to read these works by UU writers, Eric Williams and Florence Emmons, and then a child's chalice lighting by Karen G. Johnston. And I thought maybe we were having something on the screen, but I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. Blessed is the Sky by Eric Williams. Blessed is the sky and all that is warm and filled with light. Blessed is the air and all that is open and free. Blessed is the earth and all that is steady and firm. Blessed is the sea and all that is hidden and deep. And for the chalice lighting today, I'm going to read I Believe in Nature by Florence Emmons, while we share on the screen some images of Earth's beauty. And the slideshow was put together by Molly Swanson. I Believe in Nature by Florence Emmons. We light this chalice. Sorry, I realized. We light this chalice to honor the orderly processes of the universe, which hold the planets in their orbits and control the activities of microscopic cells. To honor the pervading, impartial forces of nature through which destruction is made constructive. To honor the ever-changing beauty of the natural world, which brings joy and inspiration to many people. We believe in the healing and restorative power of nature, without which all things would be in great jeopardy. We believe in the profound lessons which nature teaches, lessons of struggle and adaptability, tenacity and purpose, endurance and growth, patience, balance, and the inevitability of cause and effect. We believe in the hope and faith which nature gives to the observant through predictable, compensatory certainties, light after dark, warmth after cold, peaceful calm after lashing storm, and always the miracle of the sun, the rain, and the seed. So in honor of our children returning to services today, while Molly lights the chalice, Maya was going to read A Child's Chalice Lighting of Gratitude for the Earth by Karen G. Johnston. And then we can all think about our appreciation for the beauty and wonder of the world. And I'll read for Maya her child's chalice reading. And, oh, okay. Thank you. We didn't practice this. What if when I light the chalice, you hear an invitation to welcome gratitude for the earth. This week, as we got ready to light the chalice, our family talked about blessings from this planet. And our list is water, bees, and trees. And now with this flame of hope shedding in your heart, what is your list?
Please rise in body and our spirits for our opening hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Well, good morning and happy Earth Day. I'm going to do the first reflection. And, maybe we better do Aubrey first. We'd like those kids to have you as entertainment, not me.
Good morning, friends. I'm so happy that was the first hymn I've gotten to sing with you all since the pandemic started. So I'm so to be here in this room. I'm so happy. And it's my favorite hymn. So I have a little bit of news, which is that, thank you, friend. We have a basketball hoop outside now. Rose, the Schneiders brought it yesterday, so that'll be a fun thing we can do in the summer. So I got us a basketball, and it reminded me of something that we could talk about for Earth Day, which is this fact I learned about this relative size of the sun and to the Earth. So if the sun was this basketball, you know how basketballs have these little nubs on them? So the Earth would just be one of these little nubs, which is bonkers, right? So crazy. So, and so our little Earth is 93 million miles away from the big sun. And we call that the Goldilocks zone, that our Earth is in just this right spot. And so we know the story of Goldilocks, right? You kiddos back there. So Goldilocks was looking for the porridge in the Three Bears house, and she found one porridge that was too hot, one was too cold, and one was just yep, one was just right. So our Earth is in this spot, this Goldilocks zone that is just right. It's just right for all these living things on Earth. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It was just right for the waters to be the right temperature, for the single-celled algae to start blooming in them billions of years ago, this blue-green algae. And when that blue-green algae started to bloom in the waters, it created oxygen in our atmosphere. And then after that, it was just this domino of all these beautiful living creatures that came from that one single-celled blue-green algae, just because our Earth is in this just right spot. And it makes me think a lot about how we get to be a part of that. We are part of that whole domino effect. And I think we hear a lot of messages, maybe, about how humans aren't great for our planet and we're not doing a great job. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, we're pretty new here and we're just learning. We're all learning together how to do the right job. And our planet is just right for us, but I think we're just right for it too. And I love all the creatures here on this planet. I don't know what would be on your list, the list that Julie made, her and her family, of the things that she's grateful for. But I'm grateful for the trees and the plants and the creeping Charlie and the weeds. But I'm also super, super grateful for all of you guys and all those kiddos back there being in this room together again. And I love our Earth for that it's home for us and it's home for you. So let's do a little bit of like some breathing together. And as I'm like holding this basketball in my hand and it feels really good. So maybe when we're doing our meditation today, we can imagine that we're holding something solid in our hands like that. And the first principle of Unitarian Universalism is that we honor the inherent worth and dignity of all living things. And I think part of honoring that worth and dignity means that we're making our Earth a safe place for all living things. We all deserve to be here. We are all worthy of this planet. So let's take some breaths in together. You can think, I am. And when you breathe out, you think worthy. And feel that breath go down into your belly like a basketball. So one in. One more big breath in. I am. And out, worthy. I'm so happy again to see all of your faces again today. And if the kiddos want to follow me downstairs, that would be wonderful. And let's just all remember that we are just right for each other and to be on this planet, and that this planet is just right for us.
Just right. I like that. So I'm still Kathy Murdy. I've been a member here about 4 years. I identify myself as a storyteller and an activist. I'm on the environmental justice team, but mostly here I am known as Anne Marie Tody's sister. And I carry it with great pride. I want to tell you one of my favorite sayings that Anne and my mother gave to me. The saying was, when in doubt, do something practical. And on this Earth Day, I'm going to talk to you about something practical to do regarding climate change. My mother had in mind, do something practical when I'm bored or don't have anything to do. It was more like mow the lawn, do the dishes, dust the furniture. But something practical is a great thing to do when you're in doubt. Now, I'm operating on some assumptions about all of you. You're probably already aware that climate change is happening. You've probably altered your lifestyle in a number of different ways. You probably contribute service and maybe financially to organizations that are organized to make a big difference. And you probably vote taking climate change into consideration. Your doubt and questioning is probably around, what else can I do? We've all got some ideas of probably 100 things we could be doing, and we probably beat ourselves up rather regularly for not doing quite enough. But that question, what else can I do? And what else can we do? First of all, I'll let you know you're not alone in those doubts and concerns. Currently, the climate deniers have lost impetus. They're holding steady at about 8% of our population. And personally, I don't know what you do with them. I let them live in their own bubble. But here's the good news. Over the last few years, the people, sorry about that, the people who are concerned, worried, some as far as panicked, are growing every single day. And why wouldn't we? When we see all that's happening on the TV and social media, all the tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, droughts. Even here in Iowa, we have both floods and droughts and tornadoes too. Wow. And every one of them is causing lots of devastation. And now there are 79% at the last polling of the American public that is indeed concerned about climate change. Some are in the concerned, worried, or direly in stress about it. So this is where something practical comes in handy. Let me introduce you to Catherine Hayhoe. She is a Canadian atmospheric scientist and a professor of political science at Texas Tech University. She's an evangelical Christian, and a chief scientist for Nature Conservancy. She is the author of several books and frequent lecturer and keynote speaker at all kinds of conventions. She operates as though relationships are the most important thing we have as a resource. And I'll let her tell you her view. Let's see. There she is. She's usually much more talkative.
How do I talk about climate change to my brother-in-law, my neighbor, my colleague,
That was good.
How do I talk about climate change to my brother-in-law, my neighbor, my colleague, my coworker? I hear this question almost every single day. And usually people have given it a try and it hasn't gone so well. It's either ended in an argument or it's been so depressing you just want to go back to bed and pull the covers back over your head. Here's the thing. Climate change is scary. And it absolutely is depressing. I'm a climate scientist, so I know. But to care about climate change, we don't have to be a certain type of person. I'm absolutely convinced that just about every single person has every reason they need to care about climate change already. And their reason might be different than yours or mine. But if we don't think we care about climate change, it's not because we have to change who we are or what we care about. It's simply because we have not connected the dots between what we already care about and how climate change is affecting it. So when we have these conversations starting over something that we share, whether it's a love of cooking or a sport or the place where we live or our child, we connect the dots between climate change and how it's affecting what we already care about, what already matters to us. And then we talk about how we really can fix this thing. And in fact, climate change is not a giant boulder sitting at the bottom of a very steep hill with only a few hands on it. That giant boulder is already at the top of the hill. It's already rolling down the hill in the right direction. It already has millions of hands on it. It just needs more hands to get it going faster. When we realize that we are not alone, when we realize that the world truly can change, that's when we realize that yes, we truly can make a difference. And how do we knock over that first domino? By having a simple conversation about why climate change matters and what we can all do to help fix it.
Well, that's Catherine Hayhoe. She's a consultant to one of the organizations I hang out with called Citizens Climate Lobby. And she's been talking to us lately. And she says, as long as we, the people, keep talking about climate change, there is hope. But if we, the everyday people, stop talking about it, and incidentally, I was one of those. I probably, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I stopped talking to anyone except, as they would say, members of the choir who knew the tune. And I stopped talking because, well, frankly, I'm not very good at arguments. And when people start to give me a lot of facts, I get intimidated. So I just quit talking about it to just about everybody except the choir. So recently, when Catherine Hayhoe was talking to us, to me, she gave me something that I find quite practical. She said, if you talk to people using just 6 words, this is amazing to me, just 6 words in any combination, you'll be keeping hope alive. And the 6 words are, you can count them with me, real, sad. Scientists agree. Us. And hope. Let me say those again. It's worth remembering. Real, sad. Scientists agree. Us. And hope. And just to give you an example of how this might work, I'm going to pretend I'm at the grocery store and I meet a neighbor who lives down the street and around the corner. She and I know each other, but not well. So here we go. Hi, neighbor. Great to see you. How are you? Oh, and incidentally, this conversation would have a lot more back and forth, but I'm not capable of that. So, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that's good. Me? Oh, well, on the way over here, I was listening to the radio, and I heard about all those fires in Arizona and New Mexico. And I have a dear friend who owns a home off the grid in New Mexico. It's beautiful. And I got to thinking about her and what happens if her home is destroyed. The fire is around her on 3 sides right now, and the quality of the air is awful. She said she can hardly breathe. And I got to thinking about that and the devastation that would be to her life if that house was destroyed. And then there's all the rest. Fires in California where I used to live, floods, tornadoes, all that stuff. I often wonder, how can our nation survive with so much devastation going on in so many places? I sometimes feel absolutely hopeless about all that. But then I remember there's also lots of good stuff happening. Everybody knows electric cars are coming. We've got wind turbines and solar farms, and people are recycling and TerraCycling and doing all that kind of stuff. And then I remember there are millions of us on this planet that are making a huge difference. All these things, thousands of good things are happening right now, and they just need a little more of our impetus. And one of the best things we can do is talk about it. Talk about it to your family, to your friends. As long as we keep talking, there's hope. I know there's the action group. We're all familiar with the action group, but the talking group has diminished. So, like me, start practicing. And thanks, neighbor, for letting me practice with you. And I hope you practice with others. Because as long as we practice, there's hope. Now, one more quick story. I used to listen to Terry Patton. He's a spiritual teacher on his podcasts. And he interviewed a guy that I think has the worst job ever. This guy worked for 25 years for the Pentagon and later Homeland Security. And his job every day for 25 years was to look at worst case scenarios and figure out how our country could protect itself through those worst case scenarios. Can you imagine doing that every day? And of course, climate change is what they call a threat multiplier. And Terry invited him to his podcast to ask him the question, is it too late? I wasn't going to miss that one. I've been wanting to hear people have that conversation. Is it too late? And that guy spoke for an hour, and I only remember this part of what he said. He said, if it is too late, what we need to do now is have an open heart, forgiveness, and community. And if it isn't too late, what we need to do now is have an open heart, forgiveness, and community. And we've got community. This is our beloved community. And as we take the offering, please feel generous as you can, as we want to keep this beloved community going. The offering is our weekly commitment to this free congregation and our total community. This month's offering will be shared with Nahan Marsh. Those of you watching online can make a donation via text that will appear on the screen, or you can go to uccqc.org and there is a donate button. During this time, we invite you to come up and light a candle to mark a joy or a sorrow in your life. And for those watching online, we invite you to write a joy or sorrow in the chat, which will be read aloud after our musical interlude. And don't forget, when you're in doubt, be practical. Let this sacred time begin.
Good morning. As we gather together, behind each of these faces lies hidden joys and sorrows. I'll now share from the Book of Joys and Sorrows. For anyone new to our congregation, this book is just around the corner at the entrance to the sanctuary. You're encouraged to write in it before the service. Today we have several things written in. One is A Joy by John DeGrieve. Heather DeVore and Michael Stancliffe were married in our sanctuary yesterday evening. John DeGrieve officiating. It's been a while since we've had a wedding here. That's great. Congratulations to them. Doug McCollum, Alice Martin, and Alice Traylor wrote a concern. Emily Smith is hospitalized at Trinity in Rock Island. She's doing well and will likely be released Monday. I'd also like to mention a joy, and that is that next Saturday we are going to be hosting a screening of a film called Youth versus Gov. And I just had the opportunity to watch it yesterday in preparation. I'm hoping everyone can come to that. It's at 3:30 downstairs in our lounge. But you can also watch it online. If you contact me, I can get you a link for that. It's a movie about the 21 young people who sued the U.S. government for the fact that their decisions about climate change and collusion with the oil industry was impeding their rights for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's a very interesting show, so I encourage you all to come to that on Saturday at 3:30. Taryn is going to read any of the joys that are online today.
All right, find a mic here. Get a mic would be great.
I can bring this one over to you.
Closer to it so y'all can hear me because I don't feel like yelling. All right. Oh, it is. It's a weird. Okay. All right. So we have one online this morning, and one from my family personally. First, for me, I'm just gonna say a big joy for the people who have stepped up and helped us out through this adjustment with our food stamp situation. It has made a big difference. Joe totally enjoyed some brisket yesterday, so thank you to you all for your help and support through that. Online, we have A. Taylor has a sorrow that their daughter-in-law just tested positive for COVID, and that I'm sorry, I'm not sure gender for A, but they are not with us because they are staying home with their family, and until they all test okay. So that is the online joys and concerns for this morning.
Thank you, Taryn. I'd like to read a poem today, one of my favorites by Wendell Berry, which is The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. For all that remains in the quiet of our thoughts, we are grateful. It is with connections to one another that we build the community of this place. Thank you.
I invite the choir up. Today we will be performing Let It Grow from the movie The Lorax.
Just one way to know its worth when you celebrate the world. Celebrate the world. Come on and celebrate the world. Celebrate the world. All you gotta do, all you gotta do is live your life, be true. Live your life, be true, and never be afraid. Never be afraid to grow. Oh, oh, grow. Oh, oh. It don't matter how you got it. It's yours now, don't you hide it. Let it grow. Let it grow. Let the love inside you show it. Just a way to know you're worth it. Let it grow. Let it grow. Let it grow, let it grow. You can't reap what you don't sow. Plant a seed inside you. Just one way to know its worth. Let's celebrate the world's rebirth. We say let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. Like it did so long ago. It is just one tiny seed, but it's all we really need. It's time to change the life we lead. Time to let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. Let the love inside you show. Plant a seed inside the earth. Just one way to know its worth. Let's celebrate the world's rebirth. We say let it grow. Let it grow, let it grow. You can't reap what you don't sow. It's just a tiny seed, but it's all we really need. It's time to banish all your grief. Imagine we are flying tree. Let this be our song. We say it's a brand new dawn.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Again, I am still Ann Harrington, and the online thing that Taryn shared was actually from Alice Traylor, who is supposed to be doing the second reflection. So I am doing that in her place, and we wish Alice and her family well as they get through this time. So the story I am sharing is a story about the importance of place. By that, I mean a place of importance to you in your memories. Often such a place is part of nature, such as a park or even your own backyard. I share now, liberally, edited an essay by Garrett Traylor, which is her grandson, written when he was in college. It's entitled Searching for Stories, an Exploration of a Childhood Wood and What I Found There by Garrett N. Traylor. In the beginning was the story, or rather many stories of many places, in many voices, pointing towards many ends. William Cronin wrote this of nature defining the world in which we live by the words we use to describe it. Throughout history, humanity has used many words to define this natural world. From a wilderness to be feared, to a frontier to be explored, and a church to be revered, every definition tells a story of human experience. My life, too, has shaped a definition of this abstract we call nature. The story behind that definition has a humble beginning, the simple experience I had as a child stepping out my back door. Uneven, now there is a word to describe my backyard. Our front yard faced the street, and that we kept nice, but the backyard, that faced trees and a ravine. Rather than mow, which was too much trouble on a hill, we let plants grow freely from the trees. Creeping Charlie was merely our natural and decorative ground cover. Somehow, it felt right to simply let the plants grow where they pleased, except for a lonely pine near the patio. This young tree grew after my brother and I had planted a pear for Earth Day one year. Only one survived, and to this day I maintain that it is mine, his. Looking past the wild and uneven ground, one might follow a mulched path leading away from our patio. This path led down a series of steps and was bookended by two great oak trees. Together, the trees acted almost as guardians to the ravine that lay below. The ravine was not a forest per se, but as a child it certainly seemed that way. Trees almost formed a wall from my immediate backyard and the ravine itself, making it a separate sanctuary. In this ravine, the property line between our and our neighbors' properties was completely invisible. Our yard ran into all the others, mixed by growth and trees and cover of leaves. Our ravine frontier blended into one, a single wild entity. There was, however, a single and unique division in the ravine, the creek running through it. On one side were the trees into which my backyard led, and on the other was grass leading up another hill to yet more neighbors. Across the creek was laid a plank that served as a bridge. This bridge connected me to my best friend, who lived just up the grassy side of the ravine. Still, it was the denser side that I preferred, for within the trees lay adventure, and beyond the creek, which seemed a river, mystery. With so many parts to my backyard, there were many stories to be told. To put it simply, we were kids, and the ravine let our imaginations run wild. Before us lay a land with a story to be told. To me, the water and dirt and leaves held more than one truth, entities of their own that moved as I did amongst the trees, and all just waiting to be found. From my patio, I would set off into the woods, following the long road to the wild frontier. Along the way, if I did not pay tribute to the forest guardians, I might be forced from the beaten path and pushed into a struggle against creeping sorcery that restricted my steps. Foes might hide in the underbrush, and off the path I had to be careful to sneak my way into the forest below. There was always treasure to be found amongst the trees. The trees whispered secrets. At the time, these secrets had no meaning, simply the things of imagination of a young boy at play. But they planted the seeds that have become rooted in my ideals. A few weeks ago, I returned home to re-experience my backyard, this time as an observant young adult. In my youth, I had been raised as a Unitarian Universalist, a church very much influenced by transcendental ideals. I was raised to connect places to their storied souls without even knowing it. When I returned home to walk the old trails, I did not find my younger world. My backyard now tells a tragic narrative, the place of my youth swallowed by a great metaphorical singularity, progress. My neighbors, in my absence, have been cultivating the land. Progress, to some, is loss, to others. The boundless expense that was the ravine of my youth now shows clear-cut property lines, marked by a stone wall that my neighbors have erected. What once represented limitless imagination is now marked by physical limitation. In this new landscape, there is no room for imagination. The ravine floor has been literally swept clean of leaves. Trees have been felled to make room for their progress, and grass is growing to match the pristine bank opposite the creek. Even my friend has long since moved away, and the bridge leads to nothing. I, like John Muir, have seen my wild temple desecrated. Upon reflection, I wonder what it is I have really lost of that place from my youth. In the end, have I lost anything at all? The stories told in my memory remain true, even if my eyes deny me. The trees yet whisper secrets. Nature is change, its story never ending. That ends Garrett's story. The backyard is still uneven and covered in ground cover. The 2 guardian trees are still there for now. Places are important, and this place is so very important. Not only the physical structure and the grounds, but also the community that dwells in this space. Blessed be.
Please rise in body and or spirit for our closing hymn, 1064, Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. Drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
My name is Mike Wilcox. Our closing words today are from Wangari Maathai. She was a political, social, and environmental activist from Kenya and the first woman from Africa to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Today, we are faced with a challenge that calls for a shift in our thinking so that humanity stops threatening our life support system. We are called to assist the earth to heal her wounds and in the process, heal our own. Instead, to embrace the whole of creation, all the diversity, beauty, and wonder. Recognizing that sustainable development, democracy, and peace are indivisible is an idea whose time has come. As we extinguish the chalice, please join in reading the words which are on the TV. Extinguish the chalice. But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we are again, until we are together.